Good afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday, March 24th, 2020, a little after 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and this is Professor Thomas. I hope you all are safe and well. Please feel free to reach out anytime over email or phone for questions here for you. So let us begin with immigration law updates since we last spoke last Thursday. And as usual, there have been a lot. So our first update is talking about the State Department. So as some of you might be aware, on the evening of the 19th, which was last Thursday, the State Department, in conjunction with the CDC, put out a global health advisory of level 4, do not travel, which basically is saying that US citizens should not travel to other countries outside of the United States. Along with that is the idea that all routine visa services at US consulates and embassies in every other country are effectively suspended, meaning that individuals who are not US citizens can't continue to have visa interviews for immigrant or non immigrant visas and can't continue to get travel documents to come to the United States until these consulates or embassies reopen. Additionally, for US citizens, passports for people who are applying for the first time for their passports are only allowed to obtain a passport in life or death emergencies. So that only applies to first time applicants, not for folks who are renewing their passports. For folks who are renewing their passports, it means there's going to be a longer waiting time. Let's turn next to the immigration courts, the Executive Office for Immigration Review. Again, that's part of the Department of Justice. So, the immigration court has been communicating through their Twitter feed, oftentimes late at night, about when different courts are closed. So, some of the immigration courts throughout the country are all are closed for, or some, I should say, are closed for in-person master calendar hearings. Some of the detained courts are still open, and it's really just sort of court and location specific. Effectively, it's very confusing. On this slide, I have the Department of Justice Executive Office for Immigration Review, meaning the Immigration Court's official Twitter feed, as well as the Judges Union. They have a union, the National Association of Immigration Judges, and this is their Twitter feed as well. And just to make sure that you're all aware, here in New York, we have 3 immigration courts. 2 are not detained. Those 2 are 26 Federal Plaza and 290 Broadway. Both of those courts are closed. The detained court at 201 Varick Street is open, or was open, I should say, except as of last night, March 23rd at 10:50 p.m., the immigration court's Twitter feed put out a notice saying that the detained court at Varick Street would close because effectively one of the judges tested positive for COVID-19. So the Varick Street court is closed today. It is unclear whether it will reopen. Emergency filings are to be done at the Elizabeth Immigration Court, which is a detained court in New Jersey. I've also included photos that the judges union put up of the immigration court in Boston, where sadly another judge was confirmed to have COVID-19. And this is a picture of a crew in hazmat suits cleaning the court. As far as I know, that court is still open. There's also a quote from the president of the judges union, Judge Ashley Tabador, and you can see that the judges union feels very strongly that closing both detained and non-detained courts and turning detained courts into telephonic motions only for people who are detained is essential to protecting the health and well-being of everybody involved. There was also a letter by both the ICE professional union, so ICE acts as the effectively attorney in immigration court, so their professional union, the judges union, as well as the American Immigration Lawyers Association, which is a private and nonprofit bar representing respondents, all asking that the courts be closed. As of today, still no official closing of the immigration courts. Also wanted to make you aware that there are detained immigrant kids, right? And that those youth are detained by the Office of Refugee Resettlement, which is part of the Federal Department of Health and Human Services. So those kids, like adults, are still detained despite everything that's going on with COVID-19. As of last week, those youth did have to appear in immigration court in master calendar hearings here in New York, and those were, again, the big courtrooms filled with kids, with their caseworkers, also with some attorneys, ICE counsel, and the judges. And everyone is concerned about that, as well as the fact that staff at the youth shelters, which are the children's detention facilities, have been testing positive for COVID 19. Today, on March 24th, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, as well as EOIR, issued a joint statement effectively suspending or rescheduling hearings for the Migrant Protection Protocols, which is the Remain in Mexico program, where effectively those who are seeking to apply for asylum in the United States are pushed back to Mexico in order to wait for their hearings in immigration court, and then told to present at the port of entry, and are then bussed across to the immigration courts in San Diego and then along the Texas border. Those hearings have been postponed till April 22nd. However, you should see the below that folks should still show up to a port of entry and get a new hearing date, so on and so forth. Advocates are very concerned that this will lead to a lot of confusion as well. And of course, folks are concerned about the conditions that these asylum seekers are living in along the southern border in Mexico, and what a horrifying prospect it is of having a coronavirus outbreak in any of these conditions, that there's not enough running water for people to effectively reach. And last Friday, so that would be March 20th, I'm sorry, the US Mexico and US Canadian border crossings have restricted non essential traffic, meaning no tourism, for the next 30 days. On the US Mexico border and US Canada border, you do have folks seeking asylum, and effectively, those folks are simply pushed back into the respective countries. The United States, Canada are pushed back into the United States, and folks coming from other countries through Mexico are pushed back into Mexico. So they're not able to get in the non official line that is there at ports of entries. They're not able to be part of the migrant protection protocols. They're simply turned away. So this concludes everything that's happening so far in immigration law. Well, some of it, I should say. There's a lot more other things, and we'll turn to those next time. Thanks so much.